First contact. Unexpected discovery. The vastness of space had always beckoned humanity, but never in their wildest dreams did they imagine their first encounter with advanced alien life would unfold like this. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced exploration vessel. Her dark eyes scanned the holographic displays, a mixture of excitement and apprehension evident in her expression. The Horizon had been tasked with pushing the boundaries of human exploration, venturing further into the cosmic unknown than any ship before. "Captain, we're picking up some strange readings," Lieutenant Aiden Chen called out from his station, his fingers dancing over the sensor controls. "It's like nothing we've ever encountered." Reyes strode over, her curiosity piqued. "Show me." The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a swirling mass of energy that defied explanation. Colors shifted and pulsed in patterns that seemed to follow some alien logic, mesmerizing in their complexity. "What in the world?" Reyes murmured, leaning closer. Suddenly, the energy mass began to coalesce, taking on a more definite shape. The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as a massive structure materialized before their eyes. It was a space station, but unlike anything humanity had ever conceived. Sleek and organic in design, it seemed to flow and shift even as they watched, adapting to unseen stimuli. "My God," whispered Commander Sarah Okafor, the ship's XO. "Are we seeing this correctly?" Before anyone could respond, a beam of light shot out from the alien structure, enveloping the horizon. Alarms blared as the ship's systems registered the intrusion, but just as quickly as it appeared, the light vanished. "Report." Reyes barked, her training kicking in despite the unprecedented situation. "All systems normal, Captain," Chen replied, his voice tinged with disbelief. "Whatever that was, it didn't harm us. But our database has been accessed. They've downloaded our entire linguistic and cultural archive." As if on cue, a voice echoed through the bridge, speaking perfect English with an otherworldly lilt. "Greetings, explorers of Earth. We are the Zarketh. We welcome you to the threshold of a greater universe." Reyes exchanged glances with her crew, their faces a mix of awe and trepidation. This was it. Humanity's first contact with an advanced alien civilization, and judging by the casual way they had probed the Horizon systems, the technological gap between their species was vast. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the UES Horizon," she responded, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge." There was a pause, and for a moment, Reyes feared she had somehow offended their alien hosts. Then, a shimmering portal appeared on the bridge, a doorway of light that hurt to look at directly. "Your words are appreciated, Captain Reyes," the alien voice continued. "Please, step through. We have much to discuss." Reyes hesitated, acutely aware of the weight of history on her shoulders. This decision could shape the future of humanity. She turned to her crew. Seeing the same mix of fear and excitement she felt reflected in their eyes. "Commander Okafor, you have the bridge," she said firmly. "If I'm not back in 1 hour, follow first contact protocols and relay everything to Earth Command." Okafor nodded solemnly. "Understood, Captain. Good luck." Taking a deep breath, Reyes stepped towards the portal. As she approached, she felt a tingling sensation wash over her body. With one last look at her crew, she stepped through. The world shifted and blurred around her. For a moment, Reyes felt as if she was everywhere and nowhere at once. Then, reality snapped back into focus, and she found herself in a vast chamber that defied human architecture. The walls seemed alive, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Floating platforms hovered at various levels, connected by bridges of pure energy. And there, waiting for her, were the Zarketh. They were tall, willowy beings with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their eyes were large and multifaceted, reflecting the light in mesmerizing patterns. As Reyes watched, their forms seemed to fluctuate slightly, as if they weren't fully committed to a single shape. One of the aliens stepped forward, its movements fluid and graceful. "Welcome, Captain Reyes. I am Zinera, appointed to be your guide in these first moments of contact." Reyes straightened her back, acutely aware that she represented not just her crew, but all of humanity. "Thank you for your welcome, Zinera. The people of Earth are honored to make your acquaintance." Zinera's form rippled in what Reyes hoped was a sign of approval. "Your species is young, but we see great potential in you. Your journey here was not by chance, Captain. We have been observing your civilization for some time." The implications of that statement sent a shiver down Reyes' spine. How long had they been watching? What had they seen? Before she could voice her questions, Zinera continued, "We believe the time has come for humanity to join the greater galactic community. But first, there is much you must learn." With a gesture, Zinera summoned a holographic display that dwarfed anything on the horizon. It showed a map of the galaxy, with thousands of points of light representing different civilizations. "The universe is vast and filled with wonders, Captain, but it is also fraught with dangers. There are species out there that would see your world as nothing more than a resource to be exploited." Reyes felt a chill at those words. Humanity had only just reached the stars, and already they were being told of threats beyond their comprehension. "Why tell us this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why not let us remain in blissful ignorance?" Zinera's form shimmered, and Reyes got the distinct impression of a sad smile. "Because ignorance is a luxury the universe rarely affords, Captain, and because we see in humanity a spark, a potential to become something truly remarkable." The alien gestured again, and the galactic map zoomed in on Earth. "Your world stands at a crossroads. The choices you make in the coming years will determine not just your fate, but potentially the fate of many others." Reyes' mind raced with the implications. The responsibility was overwhelming. "What would you have us do?" "Learn," Zinera replied simply. "Grow. Push the boundaries of your understanding. We will guide you, but the journey must be your own." As if on cue, more Zarketh entered the chamber, each carrying what looked like advanced data storage devices. Zinera turned to Reyes, its multifaceted eyes gleaming. "We offer you knowledge, Captain Reyes, the foundation upon which you can build a future worthy of your potential. But be warned, this knowledge comes with great responsibility." Reyes looked at the devices, then back at Zinera. She thought of her crew, of Earth, of all the generations that had dreamed of this moment. With a steady hand, she reached out. "On behalf of humanity, we accept your offer and the responsibility that comes with it." As her fingers closed around the alien device, Reyes knew that nothing would ever be the same. Humanity had taken its first true step into a larger universe, for better or worse. The journey that would reshape the destiny of Earth had begun. Cultural exchange, bridging the divide. The weeks following humanity's first contact with the Zarketh were a whirlwind of activity. Earth's governments, once divided by petty squabbles, now united in the face of this paradigm-shifting revelation. A delegation of Earth's finest minds was hastily assembled and dispatched to the Zarketh station, which had taken up position in orbit around Jupiter. Dr. Amelia Sato, Earth's leading xenobiologist, stood in awe as she stepped onto the alien structure for the first time. Despite her years of theoretical preparation for this moment, nothing could have truly readied her for the reality of it. "It's breathtaking," she whispered to her colleague, Dr. Yusuf Abdul, a brilliant linguist and cultural anthropologist. Yusuf nodded, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's like stepping into a living organism. The entire station seems to pulse with life." Their Zarketh guide, a being who had introduced itself as Kellener, rippled with what the humans had come to recognize as amusement. "Your observation is more accurate than you know, Dr. Abdul. Our technology is a synthesis of organic and inorganic components. The station is, in many ways, alive." As the delegation moved deeper into the station, they were introduced to marvels beyond their wildest imaginations. Gravity was manipulated as easily as humans might adjust the temperature in a room. Information was stored and transferred through crystalline structures that seemed to defy the laws of physics as humanity understood them. But it wasn't just the technology that astounded the human visitors. The Zarketh themselves were a source of endless fascination. Their fluid forms and multifaceted consciousnesses challenged everything humans thought they knew about sentient life. In a vast chamber that seemed to shift and change with each passing moment, Dr. Sato found herself engaged in a deep discussion with a Zarketh scientist named Vexera. "Your biology is fascinating," Vexera commented, its form shimmering with curiosity. "So fixed, yet so adaptable. We've observed how quickly your species can evolve to meet new challenges." Amelia smiled, still marveling at how the universal translators gifted by the Zarketh made communication effortless. "We're quite interested in your biology as well. Your ability to alter your form at will is incredible. How does it work?" Vexera's body rippled in a way that Amelia had come to associate with deep thought. "It's difficult to explain in terms your current science would understand. Perhaps it would be easier to show you." Before Amelia could respond, Vexera's form began to shift dramatically. In a matter of seconds, an exact replica of Amelia stood before her, down to the smallest detail. "Oh my," Amelia gasped, reaching out to touch her doppelganger. The skin felt real, warm to the touch. "This is extraordinary." Vexera, still wearing Amelia's form, smiled with her face. "This is but a fraction of what we can do. Our bodies are not bound by rigid genetic codes as yours are. We can adapt our very molecular structure to suit our needs or desires." As fascinating as the scientific exchanges were, cultural understanding proved to be a greater challenge. The Zarketh's fluid nature extended to their society and ethics in ways that often bewildered the human delegates. Dr. Abdul found himself in a perplexing conversation with a Zarketh philosopher named Xyltex. "So, you're saying that your species doesn't have a concept of individual identity as we understand it?" Yusuf asked, struggling to wrap his mind around the idea. Xyltex's form shimmered in a pattern that Yusuf had learned indicated agreement. "What you call self is a much more fluid concept for us. We can merge consciousnesses, share memories and experiences directly. The boundaries between individuals are permeable." Yusuf shook his head in amazement. "That's incredible. But how do you maintain a sense of society, of law and order?" "Our society is based on harmony and collective well-being," Xyltex explained. "What benefits one, benefits all. The idea of acting solely for individual gain is alien to us." These philosophical differences led to some tense moments. When the human delegation presented their proposal for trade agreements and territorial boundaries, the Zarketh seemed genuinely puzzled. "Why would you seek to divide what is shared?" asked Kellner, its form flickering with confusion. "Knowledge, resources, space itself, these belong to all sentient beings." Captain Reyes, who had been appointed as the official liaison between Earth and the Zarketh, stepped in to mediate. "Our species has a long history of conflict over resources and territory," she explained. "These agreements are meant to prevent misunderstandings and ensure peaceful coexistence." Kellner's form rippled in what Reyes had come to recognize as understanding. "Ah, yes, we have encountered similar mindsets in younger species before. Perhaps we can find a middle ground that respects your need for boundaries, while also introducing you to a more interconnected way of existence." As the days turned into weeks, both species found themselves continually amazed and challenged by each other. The humans marveled at the Zarketh's advanced technology and profound understanding of the universe. The Zarketh, in turn, were fascinated by humanity's creativity, adaptability, and complex emotions. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Cultural misunderstandings led to several near disasters. A human scientist, in an attempt to show respect, tried to mimic the Zarketh's shape-shifting abilities using holographic technology. The Zarketh, to whom form was a deeply personal expression, were deeply offended. Conversely, The Zarketh's casual attitude towards privacy and personal space left many humans feeling uncomfortable and exposed. It took weeks of careful diplomacy to smooth over these issues and establish protocols for interaction that respected both species' norms. Despite these challenges, the exchange of knowledge and culture continued at a breathtaking pace. Humanity's understanding of science and technology advanced by leaps and bounds. The Zarketh shared insights into faster-than-light travel, energy manipulation, and even the nature of consciousness itself. In return, the Zarketh found themselves captivated by human art, music, and literature. The depth of human emotion and imagination was unlike anything they had encountered before. They were particularly fascinated by humanity's ability to create fictional worlds and stories, a concept entirely new to their species. As the initial exchange program neared its end, both species had been profoundly changed by the encounter. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, armed with knowledge that would revolutionize every aspect of their civilization. The Zarketh, ancient and wise as they were, found themselves invigorated by humanity's fresh perspective on the universe. But as Captain Reyes prepared to lead the human delegation back to Earth, she couldn't shake a feeling of unease. The Zarketh had been welcoming and generous, but she sensed they were holding something back. There was a tension in their interactions, a sense of urgency that belied their outward calm. As she boarded the shuttle that would take them back to the horizon, Kellener approached her. Its form seemed more agitated than usual, the colors swirling in chaotic patterns. "Captain Reyes," it said, its voice low and urgent. "There is something you must know. A threat approaches, one that will test both our species to their limits." Reyes felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of threat? Kellener's form solidified, taking on a more humanoid appearance. A sign, Reyes had learned, of great seriousness. "We call them the Void Hunters. They consume entire civilizations, and they have set their sights on this sector of the galaxy." As the implications of Kellener's words sank in, Reyes realized that humanity's journey into the cosmic community had only just begun. The true test of their species, and of the nascent alliance with the Zarketh, lay ahead. The universe, it seemed, had much more in store for humanity than they could have ever imagined. Looming threat. A common enemy emerges. The return to Earth was marked by a mixture of triumph and trepidation. As humanity celebrated its newfound knowledge and alliance with the Zarketh, Captain Reyes and her inner circle grappled with the ominous warning of the approaching Void Hunters. In a high-security briefing room deep beneath New Geneva, Earth's unified capital, Reyes stood before a panel of world leaders and military commanders. The holographic displays showed the vastness of space, with ominous red markers indicating the projected path of the Void Hunters. "Ladies and gentlemen," Reyes began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words, "we face a threat unlike anything in human history. The Void Hunters, as the Zarketh call them, are not just an alien species. They're a force of nature, consuming entire civilizations in their wake." Admiral Chen, a grizzled veteran of Earth's early space conflicts, leaned forward. "What exactly are we dealing with, Captain?" "Ships, some kind of energy beings." Reyes tapped a control, and the hologram zoomed in on a terrifying image. It showed a massive dark entity that seemed to defy description. Part ship, part living creature, with tendrils of dark energy extending for thousands of kilometers. "Both, and neither," Reyes explained. "According to the Zarketh, the Void Hunters exist partially in our dimension, and partially in something else. They feed on energy, all energy, from the fusion reactions of stars to the bioelectric fields of living beings." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Dr. Sato, who had been invited to the briefing due to her expertise in xenobiology, spoke up. "If they consume energy at that scale, entire planets could be left lifeless in their wake." Reyes nodded grimly. "Exactly. And they're heading straight for our sector of the galaxy." The next few hours were a flurry of questions, debates, and hastily formed plans. Earth's military leaders argued for immediate mobilization, while others advocated for evacuation plans. Through it all, Reyes stressed the importance of working with the Zarketh. Their technology is centuries beyond ours, she insisted. Any hope we have of surviving this threat lies in cooperating fully with them. As the meeting adjourned, Reyes found herself approached by an unexpected ally, Dr. Yusuf Abdul, the linguist who had been part of the first contact team. "Captain," he said, his eyes bright with an idea, "I think I might have a solution, or at least the beginning of one." Intrigued, Reyes followed him to his makeshift office. The walls were covered in diagrams and alien symbols, his attempts to decipher the more complex aspects of Zarketh communication. "During our cultural exchanges, I noticed something fascinating about the Zarketh language," Yusuf explained, pulling up a series of complex equations on his screen. "It's not just a means of communication, it's a way of manipulating reality itself. Their words, when structured correctly, can affect the very fabric of space-time." Reyes frowned, trying to follow. "Are you saying their language is some kind of technology?" Yusuf nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. And I think I've started to crack the code. If we could combine this with our own technological innovations, we might have a chance against the Void Hunters." It was a long shot, but in the face of such an overwhelming threat, even the slimmest hope was worth pursuing. Reyes immediately ordered a team to be assembled, combining the brightest minds from Earth with their Zarketh counterparts. As preparations intensified, humanity faced the greatest engineering and scientific challenge in its history. The Zarketh shared designs for weapons that could disrupt the Void Hunters' trans-dimensional nature, while Earth's scientists worked to adapt this alien technology to their own ships and defense systems. Dr. Sado found herself working closely with Vexara, the Zarketh scientist she had bonded with during the cultural exchange. Together, they explored the biological aspects of the Void Hunters, searching for weaknesses that could be exploited. "Their biology, if you can call it that, is unlike anything I've ever encountered," Amelia mused, poring over the data. "It's as if they're in a constant state of flux between matter and energy." Vexara's form shimmered in agreement. "Indeed, they are beings of entropy, consuming order and leaving chaos in their wake. But perhaps therein lies their weakness." As they delved deeper into the Void Hunter's nature, a plan began to form. If they couldn't destroy the entities outright, perhaps they could redirect them, using precisely calculated energy emissions to guide them away from inhabited systems. Meanwhile, Captain Reyes found herself in the unprecedented position of coordinating a multi-species defense force. The Zarketh, recognizing the threat to their own civilization, had committed a significant portion of their fleet to the cause. But integrating the two forces proved challenging. "Our ships are designed to function as extensions of our consciousness," Kellner explained during a strategy session. "They may be incompatible with your more rigid command structures." Reyes rubbed her temples, feeling the onset of a headache. "We'll have to find a way to make it work. The Void Hunters will be here in a matter of weeks. We don't have the luxury of maintaining separate forces." As the deadline loomed ever closer, tensions ran high. The vast differences between human and Zarketh thought processes led to frequent misunderstandings and heated arguments. More than once, Reyes had to step in to prevent conflicts from escalating. But slowly, surely, progress was made. Dr. Abdul's insights into the Zarketh language led to breakthroughs in communication and coordination between the two species. Earth's engineers, working round the clock, managed to adapt some of the Zarketh's reality warping technology to human ships. A new type of vessel emerged from these collaborations, a hybrid of human and Zarketh design. Sleek and organic-looking, these ships were capable of feats that would have been considered impossible just months ago. They could phase partially out of normal space, making them harder for the Void Hunters to detect and consume. As the day of confrontation drew near, Captain Reyes stood on the bridge of the newly christened ESS Unity, the flagship of humanity's defense fleet. Around her, A mix of human and Zarketh crew worked in harmony, their differences set aside in the face of the common threat. Long-range sensors detecting anomalies at the edge of the system. Lieutenant Chen reported, his voice tense. Energy signatures matched the profile of the Void Hunters. Reyes took a deep breath, steadying herself for the challenge ahead. She opened a channel to the entire fleet, a mix of Earth ships, Zarketh vessels, and the new hybrids. This is Captain Reyes to all ships. The enemy we've prepared for is here. Remember your training. Trust in each other and know that the fate of not just our worlds, but countless others, rests on our actions today. She paused, looking out at the vast expanse of space, soon to become a battlefield unlike any in history. Whatever happens, it has been my honor to serve with all of you. Now let's show these Void Hunters that our light will not be so easily extinguished. All ships, battle stations. As klaxons blared and crews rushed to their positions, the combined fleet of humanity and the Zarketh moved to intercept the approaching threat. The greatest battle in Earth's history was about to begin, with the very future of life in the galaxy hanging in the balance. Battle for survival. Unlikely heroes. The void of space erupted into chaos as the combined fleet of Earth and the Zarketh engaged the Void Hunters. The enemy was even more terrifying in person, vast, shadowy entities that seemed to devour light itself. Their tendrils of dark energy reached out, grasping at ships and tearing them apart. Captain Rice stood at the helm of the ESS Unity, her voice steady as she called out orders. Evasive maneuvers. Focus fire on the lead entity. Remember, we're not trying to destroy them. Just push them back. The Unity banked hard, narrowly avoiding a tendril of dark energy. Around them, the battle raged. Earth's conventional weapons seemed to pass harmlessly through the Void Hunters, but the hybrid ships, armed with Zarketh technology, were having more success. Beams of iridescent energy lanced out from the Zarketh vessels, distorting the very fabric of space around the Void Hunters. Where these beams struck, the entities seemed to recoil, their shadowy forms wavering. But for every small victory, there was a devastating loss. Rise watched in horror as an entire squadron of Earth fighters was engulfed by a Void Hunter, their energy simply gone in an instant. We need to implement the Sadovexera protocol. Rise shouted over the comm. All ships, prepare to execute on my mark. The Sadovexera protocol was a desperate plan, born from the collaborative research of Dr. Amelia Sato and her Zarketh counterpart. It involved using precisely calibrated energy emissions to essentially herd the Void Hunters away from inhabited systems. As the fleet maneuvered into position, Dr. Sato's voice came over the comm from her position in the science lab. Captain, we're detecting unusual fluctuations in the Void Hunters' energy signatures. Something's not right. Before Reyes could respond, a massive surge of dark energy erupted from the Lid Void Hunter. It struck the Unity with devastating force, sending the ship spinning out of control. Hull breach on decks 5 through 8. Lieutenant Chen shouted over the blaring alarms. We're losing power. Reyes gripped her command chair, her mind racing. The Sadovexera protocol was their best hope, but with the Unity crippled, coordinating the fleet would be nearly impossible. Suddenly, a familiar voice crackled over the comm. This is Dr. Yusuf Abdul. Captain, I think I can help. Reyes remembered the linguist's breakthroughs with the Zarketh language. Go ahead, Doctor. The Zarketh language. It's not just communication, it's a form of reality manipulation, Yusuf explained hurriedly. If I can broadcast a specific phrase across all frequencies, it might disrupt the Void Hunter's trans-dimensional state. It was a long shot, but they were out of options. Do it, Rise ordered. Yusuf's voice rang out across the battlefield, speaking words that seemed to twist and writhe in the air. The effect was immediate and startling. The Void Hunter's forms began to flicker and distort, their tendrils retracting as if in pain. It's working, Rise exclaimed. All ships, concentrate fire on the affected areas. The combined fleet pressed their advantage, pouring fire into the destabilized Void Hunters. But the entities were far from defeated. They began to adapt, their forms shifting to counteract Yusuf's linguistic assault. In the science lab, Dr. Sato and Vexera worked frantically to refine their protocol. If we can synchronize our energy emissions with Dr. Abdul's transmissions, Amelia suggested, we might be able to force them into a more vulnerable state. Vexera's form rippled with excitement. Yes, we could create a resonance cascade, amplifying the effect exponentially. As they refined their calculations, the battle outside reached a fever pitch. Ships on both sides were falling, consumed by the voracious Void Hunters or torn apart by the stress of trans-dimensional combat. Captain Reyes knew they were running out of time. Dr. Sato, we need that protocol now. Just a few more seconds. Amelia's voice was tense with concentration. There, transmitting the refined protocol to all ships. Reyes didn't hesitate. All vessels, implement the Sato-Vexera protocol immediately. The effect was like nothing anyone had ever seen. As Yusuf's reality-warping words echoed across space, the fleet unleashed a perfectly synchronized burst of energy. The Void Hunters were caught in a web of conflicting forces, their shadowy forms twisting and contorting. For a moment, it seemed as if they might break free. But then, with a silent flash that seemed to ripple through the very fabric of space-time, the Void Hunters shifted. Their massive forms were pulled into some unseen dimension, leaving behind only rapidly dissipating wisps of dark energy. A stunned silence fell over the battlefield. Then, slowly, cheers began to erupt across the comm channels. They had done it. Against all odds, the combined forces of humanity and the Zarketh had repelled the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. As the adrenaline of battle faded, the true cost became clear. Hundreds of ships had been lost, thousands of lives from both species snuffed out in the conflict. The Unity itself was badly damaged, limping on auxiliary power. Captain Rice stood amidst the chaos of her battered bridge, her uniform torn and smeared with soot. She opened a channel to the entire fleet, her voice hoarse but filled with pride. This is Captain Rice to all ships. Stand down from battle stations. The Void Hunters have been repelled. She paused, allowing the magnitude of their accomplishment to sink in. What we achieved here today was nothing short of miraculous. Human and Zarketh, working together, we faced an unimaginable threat and emerged victorious. She looked around at her crew, human and Zarketh alike, their faces etched with exhaustion, but glowing with triumph. But our work is not done, Rice continued. We've suffered heavy losses, and there are wounded who need our help. Let's show the same spirit of cooperation in recovery that we showed in battle. As rescue operations began and the fleet regrouped, Rice couldn't help but feel a sense of profound change. Humanity had been thrust onto the galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger, wiser, and with powerful new allies. The Void Hunters had been defeated, but Reyes knew this was just the beginning. New challenges, new wonders, and new dangers undoubtedly lay ahead. But whatever the future held, humanity would face it standing shoulder to shoulder with the Zarketh, united by their shared triumph over the darkness. As the ESS Unity limped back towards Earth, Captain Alina Reyes allowed herself a small smile. The stars seemed a little brighter now, full of promise and possibility. The journey that had begun with an unexpected discovery had led them here, to the dawn of a new era for humanity and their place in the cosmos. A new era, forging the future together. The return to Earth was a bittersweet affair. As the battered fleet limped home, the enormity of what they had accomplished began to sink in. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge, and with the help of the Zarketh, had emerged victorious. But the cost had been high. Memorial services were held across the globe, honoring those who had given their lives to protect not just Earth, but countless worlds throughout the galaxy. The names of human and Zarketh heroes were spoken with equal reverence, a testament to the bonds forged in the heat of battle. Captain Elena Reyes stood at the podium in front of the newly erected Monument to Unity, a massive structure in New Geneva that incorporated both human and Zarketh design elements. Before her stretched a sea of faces, human and alien alike, all gathered to commemorate the one-year anniversary of the Battle of the Void. 1 year ago, Reyes began, her voice carrying across the hushed crowd. We faced annihilation. The Void Hunters threatened not just our world, but all life as we know it. We were unprepared, outmatched, and terrified. She paused, her eyes scanning the audience. But we were not alone. The Zarketh, a civilization we had only just met, stood with us. Together, we did the impossible. We pushed back the darkness, and in doing so, we discovered the best of ourselves. As Reyes spoke, holographic displays around the monument flickered to life, showing scenes from the battle and the subsequent recovery efforts. Images of humans and Zarketh working side by side to rebuild flashed by, a powerful reminder of how far they had come. Today we remember those we lost, Reyes continued, her voice solemn. But we also celebrate what we've gained, a powerful alliance, a new understanding of our place in the universe, and the knowledge that when we stand together, there is no challenge we cannot overcome. The ceremony concluded with a moment of silence, followed by a spectacular display of Zarketh bioluminescence combined with human fireworks, a symbolic fusion of their two cultures. As the crowds dispersed, Reyes found herself approached by a familiar flickering form. Kellener, the Zarketh who had first welcomed humans to their station, rippled with what Reyes now recognized as deep emotion. Your words were powerful, Captain, Kellener said, its voice a melodious hum. They capture the essence of what we have achieved together. Reyes smiled, feeling a warmth that went beyond mere diplomatic politeness. Thank you, Kellener. None of this would have been possible without the trust your people placed in us. As they walked together through the memorial gardens, Reyes marveled at how natural it felt now to converse with a being so fundamentally different from herself. The initial awe and trepidation had given way to a deep mutual respect and understanding. There is much still to be done, Kellener mused, its form shimmering thoughtfully. The Void Hunters may return, and there are other threats in the galaxy that we must prepare for. Reyes nodded, her expression determined. Agreed, but we'll face them together. Already, our scientists are making incredible breakthroughs by combining our technologies and methodologies. Indeed, the collaboration between human and Zarketh researchers had led to advancements that would have been unthinkable just a year ago. Dr. Amelia Sato and Vexera had pioneered a new field of trans-dimensional biology, their work promising revolutionary changes in medicine and our understanding of life itself. Dr. Yusuf Abdul's work on the reality-altering properties of Zarketh language had opened up entirely new avenues of physics and engineering. There was even talk of developing a form of faster-than-light communication based on his discoveries. But perhaps the most profound changes were cultural. The presence of the Zarketh on Earth and humans on Zarketh worlds had triggered a renaissance of art, philosophy, and social progress. Old prejudices and divisions began to seem petty in the face of the vast cosmic diversity they now knew existed. As Reyes and Kellener reached the edge of the memorial gardens, they paused to look up at the stars, now visible in the darkening sky. What do you see when you look up there, Captain? Kellener asked, its voice curious. Reyes considered for a moment. I see possibility, she said finally. New worlds to explore, new civilizations to meet. And I see responsibility, to protect, to learn, to grow. Kellener's form rippled in what Reyes had come to recognize as agreement. We see much the same. It is why we believe your species has such potential. You have the curiosity to explore, the courage to face the unknown, and the compassion to care for those different from yourselves. As they stood there, a streak of light cut across the sky. A new class of hybrid ship, designed by human and Zarketh engineers, embarking on its maiden voyage of exploration. We have come so far, Reyes mused, But our journey is just beginning. Kellener's form shifted, taking on a more humanoid appearance, a gesture of closeness it had learned from its time among humans. Then let us walk this path together, Captain. There are wonders waiting to be discovered, and challenges yet to be faced. But united, there is nothing we cannot achieve. As they turned to head back to the bustling heart of the city, Rice felt a profound sense of hope. The universe was vast and often dangerous, but it was also filled with beauty and potential. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger community of sentient beings, and while the road ahead might be difficult, they would not walk it alone. The stars above seemed to shine a little brighter, beckoning with the promise of adventures yet to come. And for Captain Alina Rice, for humanity, and for their new allies, the Zarkith, the greatest journey of all was just beginning. The dawn of a new era had truly arrived, and the future, with all its infinite possibilities, awaited.